In this video, I'll show you 4 knots, and those 4 knots will get you around the world. Cue the intro. In order to have days like this, you're going to have days like this. This is Tips on Tuesday. We're going to talk about what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Stay tuned so you don't feel like doing this. If you like these videos, please subscribe and give us a like. And if you have anything to add to the conversation or any questions, please leave them below. The first knot that you have to know, and this one is the most important knot, is the bowline. That's tied many different ways by many different people, but how I do it is I always do it the same way so I could do it with my eyes closed, and that is the bowline. Let me show you all the places where you would do a bowline. Your Genoa sheets, they're always done with a bowline. If you want to tie just about anything to something, you use a bowline. Come on back here. Like I've said in another video, how you tie your dinghy to your boat, use a bowline. That way it won't come undone and your dinghy will always be there. So it's done with a bowline knot. That is your number 1 knot. Let's tie it one more time. There's a reason why you tie a bowline knot. It's strong, it stays together, but also you can undo it. If this thing tightens up really tight, you can still get it undone. So you tie the bowline knot. If it pulls really tight, it doesn't matter, because what you do is you just push this down and it'll untie. It's fairly easy. The knots are all tied so you can actually untie the knots as well. So that's the number 1 knot. Your number 2 knot is how you tie the sail to the back. What I do is I take a piece of Dyneema and I tie a bowline right here. So now I have a little bowline, and I just put it through . So just like that, and then cinch it down. And then what I do is I just put a knot at the end of it. And that'll hold that thing, no problem. Now this particular knot you use in a lot of places. So let's look at some of the places we use that. We also use that same knot here. And we also use it on our mizzen. The next one that you have to know is the cleat hitch. So the cleat hitch, it's pretty easy. All your lines ashore. So what you should do is get it wrapped around that is a good cleat hitch right there. What they say is 2 rivers under the bridge. But usually what happens is I want to make sure that it doesn't come undone. So then we put it over and over again until you run out of room. But don't try to make it too neat and then have something like this. That might look prettier, but you don't have enough line off the side to actually make sure that it doesn't come undone. And if that comes undone, then you might lose something. So what I like to do is bring it around and then double. And then you know it's never coming undone. Okay, so that was number 3. So the 4th one that you have to know, and this is the only other one, and then we'll show a couple of variations. But the 4th one is when you put your fenders on. Okay, this one is really, really dear to my heart because we've lost a couple fenders because they weren't put on right. So you go over the top, that'll hold your fender on. And you can put it through here afterwards. That's the way I like it. If you have to change it quickly, you can just pull and then get your line out. See, this is a bad way to do it right here. Who did that? Because it's not very sturdy. I mean, all you have is a little bit to come out, bam, it's gone. You got to leave a little bit more and maybe double tie it if it's an important knot. Okay. All right, the last variation, say you want to get your dinghy out farther. How I would do it is I would take a line and double it. The reason why I double the line is because if a line breaks or if it wears out, if it gets, something happens, I want 2 lines always holding my dinghy if I've got it on a long leash. Now, I have done this in the past where I would have the lines like this. This can come undone. So if you only put a cleat hitch on it, it will come undone. The best way to do it is to put a bowline on it. Both lines, 1 bowline. Then what you can do is you come out and these are about the same. You put a bowline at the end of this. Now you see the loop comes up like this. And that's where you pull it tight. Now you've got a lock on your bowline. And then what I do, is I tie a bowline on this line here. So if I'm going to lose my dinghy, 2 lines have to break before the dinghy is lost. And that's how I do the extension on my dinghy. It's done with a bowline here, 2 lines, 2 bowlines here, and then there's 2 bowlines tied to the dinghy. And that, my friend, is all the knots you need to know to sail around the world. Thank you. Wait a second, the one you saw on YouTube, okay. Yeah. All right.
This way goes across, and this one is holding. So, and then I would always like put this one in.
So what happens if something happens and this goes over and this does this? Is it still good? It's just not as tight.
Yes, it is not as tight, but
it's not as good.
It is not as good, but it holds. You see, now you was meddling with him, but it normally holds, and it's much faster to release.
I don't like that knot.
I know you don't.
Just one thing about the running rig, we've also changed all of these out so that it doesn't make as much noise when you're sailing. You can see a bowline here, and then this is my whatchamacallit knot. Bowline. Whatchamacallit knot, bowline. This is my whatchamacallit knot right here. Soft shackle, whatchamacallit knot. Back there, whatchamacallit knot. Go through all the knots. Soft shackle, whatchamacallit knot, whatchamacallit knot. Bowlines, cleat hitches, bowline, and then of course on the anchor, all bowline knots. So as you can see, there's not very many different types of knots on this boat.
If you like this video, give us a like down below and click here to subscribe. That really helps us. And if you want to watch more of us, click one of those.
They said it came from Spanish.